Hi, I'm Kate Showalter, and today I would love to tell you about how I ended up in Kenya, how my world travels have affected my life, and what my project, Kate Ellen Adventures, is on the Shire, and how it developed into what it is, and how it is here to help you and the world. So, thank you for tuning in. Right, so when I was a young girl, I grew up in Texas and I became very religious. Growing up in Texas with a moralistic culture, it seemed like that was the best way that I could be the best person that I could be. Being the religious person that I was, I felt like I should do missions. And just like a lot of people who travel outside of the United States on mission trips, I thought I was doing a lot of good. I was going to go and save the world. My first trip outside of the United States was actually when I was 14. I traveled playing the flute in a small symphony, and it was an honor to be a part of the Texas Symphonic Band. And I was the youngest member, so it was really an honor. But that trip was to Europe, and it was amazing to see the culture there and to see things differently, and it opened my worldview a little bit. But it wasn't until I traveled to Russia. I traveled to Russia when I was 18 and stayed there for 3 months, and I began to see the world a little bit differently. Again, it was still very much the culture wasn't quite like Kenya. The buildings were large and beautiful and a little bit different than what I found when I arrived in Kenya in my 20s. So I thought I was going to come here and save locals. I was going to tell them about Jesus and all the things, and help them with food and clothing and all the things that I thought they were going to need. And when I got here, that's exactly what I tried doing, and that was in 1996. There were street children everywhere, and I saw the need for parents, for orphans. We moved back to the United States. My husband at the time, we had an arranged marriage, but that's a whole different story, and I'll go into that another time. Actually, no, let me tell you real quickly about that a little bit. At the Bible college, they thought that our union was the perfect example because we didn't kiss, we didn't hold hands, and we didn't even talk to each other. We were strangers, and we were engaged to be married because we felt like that's what God wanted from us. So, to think that that was the accepted standard and that's what they wanted for us is quite irrational, to say the least, but I thought it was the right way. Okay, now, fast forward. I've been in Kenya when I was 20, and while I was here seeing all the street children and everything, I also watched the culture. I watched how the mothers would work with their babies just attached in little slings that they made out of fabric, how they all had to breastfeed and no one used strollers or baby toys or bouncy seats or swings. And all the mothers slept with their babies. The culture was quite simple, and I really admired it because I thought, gosh, they don't have any of the junk that we require, that we think are a necessity when we are having a baby in the United States. And, if you have all those things or you used all those things, okay, that's fine. But it just opened my worldview to something different, to something that made me realize how little we actually need. So going back to the United States, I realized I want to give birth at home. I'd studied all about it and how it was safer and all the things. And I don't want anything. I don't want bottles. I don't want a crib and all the parenting paraphernalia. So that began my parenting journey and my attitude towards simplicity. Stepping outside of what I knew all my life in the United States and living in a conserver country as opposed to a consumeristic country, I learned a great deal from the locals here. So fast forward to when we moved back in 2005, January. We moved here and I wanted to take in orphans, and it took a lot of convincing to my now ex-husband that we should take in orphans, and ultimately agreed. I wanted to take them into our own homes so that I could make sure that they were getting the best care, and if I ate hamburgers, they ate hamburgers and all the things. So that's how we began our journey with taking in orphans, and we took in 9 children outside of our biological children. And then we had 6 biological children of our own over the years, 3 of whom were born here. So in 2012, we bought lands. We did a fundraiser, and many people out there helped us buy what we call the Shire now. So when we got this piece of beautiful land, it had nothing on it, and I knew I wanted to be very eco-friendly and I wanted to do things simply. So as you can see behind me, the house is built out of earth, and what you're seeing here is a hammock. I don't know if you can see it hanging there. This is my office and guest room. So while doing this, I realized the moldability and the creativity that can come out of building with earth and owning my own space. I can do whatever I want. I can knock down walls and make windows. As you can see here, let me just show you right here. There we go. This window I just made it out of broken pieces of glass, and it's just a fun way of living. I also started raising so many children, raising 15 children, of whom some had great trauma in their lives. I mean, all of them had lost a parent in order to be considered an orphan, and some of them had seen the murder of their parents, someone had seen the death of their parents. So seeing these children who had trauma, some of whom had difficulties with food, some wouldn't talk, etc., I needed to find ways to get them to be themselves. And also because I was suppressed in my youth. If you don't know and you haven't followed my journey, I came out of the closet in 2018 to my husband at the time, and then came out to the world in March of 2019, which is last year. And that was a huge risk. A very huge risk. So, but I won't go into the details of that. You can follow my other YouTube videos and see more about that if you like. But it is something that he questioned before we got married, and my parents questioned when I was young. So I don't know why I feel like I have to justify it, but I was so committed to not failing at marriage that I lasted 24 years, and it was getting to where it nearly killed me. So, but that's a different story. Moving along. So here we are on the Shire, raising children, and I started doing horse therapy, brought in horses. I love music, acting, and all of the things, and I feel like there is a deficit here in Kenya for the arts in a sense of appreciation. There is art and there are artists, but the appreciation of the arts, the encouragement, it's actually all over the world. And I feel as if people need to come out of themselves and learn to have this ability to express themselves. It doesn't have to be painting or drawing. It can be tap dancing or singing, or it can just be shaping something with clay or building a house. It can be doing math. It can be anything. Just finding out what it is and having the safe space to not fear failure and to experiment with those things that you'll enjoy. Also, what I'm doing here now, after getting divorced and coming back to Kenya, I'm now still responsible for all of our children. I have 5 children at home right now, still in my care. So my youngest is 4, my oldest in the house is 20. The rest of them have grown up and out. I have one who's still a minor, but she's in university in Texas. So I still am here looking after my African daughters as well as my biological daughters and being responsible for them, but also at the same time trying to develop this space that I have into a space for you, for anyone who wants to come and have a sacred space of simplicity, going back to the basics, because I feel as if in the Western world, we've lost touch with reality, actually. We've lost touch with the basics. Just the other day, last night actually, I had a hole in my sofa, and I decided to cover it with a piece of embroidered fabric that was made for me by Fiend Button. She's a friend of mine. I just epoxy glued it on the hole, and then I took the sewing machine and sewed around the edges, and now my sofa has this spot of applique, I guess, of embroidery. So instead of recovering the entire sofa, I just fixed it. I patched it. this is a culture of repairing things, realizing that just because something's damaged, it isn't completely broken. And that goes for our hearts and our souls as well. So my desire, my dream is to take this place and give it back to you, give it to you. I have a piano here, I have a clarinet, I have flute, piccolo, guitars, ukuleles, penny whistles, and I hope to return the horses. I had to sell the horses because I did have to pay to get my whole half of the farm back from my ex, so this is now my place. And all of that is to say that this space, my dream is to have people come here and just surround themselves with the simplicity of living in a place where it's okay to smudge on the walls because it's just dirt. I can go outside and get more and fix it. If I have a hole in the wall, I just patch it up. And it's a different way of living. So I hope to build one day, to build like a recording studio, because right now there's a lot of noise, and I would love to be able to sit here and talk to people without all the interruptions. And also would like to record music and have some of my friends from Norway come, or even the US, and come here and create something and then present it to the world from here. So this space is just sort of a secret little space that is right at the edge of a conservation in the wild of East Africa, close enough to the highway that we can get to town. And it's a place of rejuvenation, a place of inner healing, finding your inner child, and just healing. That's what I want here. I want it to be a space where memories are made, worldviews are broadened, and learning happens. Sometimes we might be able to learn something through the internet, but with the internet you can just turn it off and walk away when you're uncomfortable. But when you engulf yourself into a new culture, the smells, the sounds, the warmth of the sun on your face, it is all something you can't escape, and you're sort of thrust outside of your comfort zone into a sort of frame of mind where you're open to receive and learn even more than when you would be sitting in front of your laptop. So experiencing Kenyan culture in a way that is not just going and touring and seeing all the wildlife. Instead, this is coming, living in an earth house, going out, looking at the wildlife, yes, but also interacting with local people and letting them teach you. It's also a place of equality, a place of self-discovery. So what do I want to offer in the future? I want to offer camps. They can be either boot camps. Are your children spoiled? Do you feel like they need to learn how to work and get their hands dirty? Bring them here and we'll have a curriculum and a camp, or a team building camp or family building camp, where you can spend time with horses, spend time out in nature, and have different activity schedules where you make memories together but also learn to work together. And also earth building classes and how to cook things and live off grid, things like sourdough and pickling and those kinds of things, cheese, etc., how to milk the cow and all those things. So these are things I want to offer people. Or maybe you just need time out in the sun, time to just get away, chase the birds, and breathe, or play the piano, or I don't know, whatever it is. So that is my dream. It's for everyone. So I would love to be able to offer an African experience for people who can't really afford the big adventures where it's $1,000 a day. Instead, come see what real Kenyan life is like. Experience the culture for yourself. That's what I would like to offer. That's what I am offering. 16 years of living here, I speak Swahili, and I have Kenyan children as well as Kenyan friends, and lots of little secrets and places where you can go and eat and be, and it's really fun. Right, you can hear we're mowing the grass out there. It's exciting. So right now, a fundraiser on GoFundMe, And the objective of the fundraiser is to help us secure the land. We need fencing because our fencing is falling down and people can just kind of walk in. Our gate is also like about 30 centimeters off the ground. Someone can just scoot in underneath it. So we want to lift the driveway. We also need to get a solar battery so that we can reinstall all the solar panels up on our guest house, which is made out of earth bags. And to get that space ready for visitors, we need mattresses and bedding and sofa and a little dining table and chair, as well as a cooker. And I just got a water tank put in, and I need some other waterworks things happening there so that it can be sort of self-contained. And also just a few repairs that we're doing around the house. We've been busy working and getting this place ready for guests to come and learn. And I'm excited. So if you don't mind, check out our campaign fundraiser on GoFundMe and share it. That is just as good as giving. Please share it with other people. If you know someone who might be interested in what we're doing, someone who cares about equality, the arts, the environment, self-expression, diversity, and culture, please. Thank you so much, and don't forget, click like and subscribe.